issue.
Yeah.
Okay, it's
So
on. Recording
I,
is up.
I, I, I
Yes.
do, and I thought it's high time that met someone like you, where there is absolute clarity. I'm doing this meditation almost, I would say, 10 years. In between, there would have been a gap, and I enjoyed it. And after, I mean, since last 2 3 weeks back when I came again in contact with you, I was already touching 40 minutes easy, and I, because of lockdown, I started enjoying it up to 1 hour. And it's a different world, but uh, uh, I have something inside that I've never shared with someone, but I tell my mind whenever I start, I give him a motivation. I say, if you reach there, I talk more with my mind. I say, listen, you just look here, concentrate here. I bring in God. I said, there is a kripa, there's a rain of blessings. And if you don't show me various slides, you will be blessed. You will see something good happening. And the whole purpose is, I always wanted to know that who am I? And this thing really pushed me to into it, continued with it, kept increasing the time, so that I reach someday where, a word like self-realization or Atma Sakshatkar, what we say in Hindi, that does this help? I mean, the continuous, dedicated journey of meditation could lead to, knowing yourself.
Yes.
So that's one thing, I thought I'll ask you someday. I don't know whether it's a stupid thing to ask or not, but it was in my mind always, uh, wanting to know who am I and thinking that I may get an answer someday. And you find the right path. Everyone is born with a purpose. You have already explained that we have a ledger. So any work we do, either with some iksha, with the intention of getting a reward or something. So because of that, we keep taking births. But that detachment, that boy's story you said, who without asking any gift, when his mother asked, go and make your room, and he just went and did the job. And, he was not expecting a result. So that's not very easy thing to, that detachment process that you were preaching. But I thought I'll check if you could help me with, towards something higher than only cooling down the mind and passing the day well, to derive something more and meaningful from meditation. It's a long practice. I don't think it's a long practice. I would like to continue as long as I live. I don't know uh, whether I'll achieve that or not.
Yeah, very good. The basic purpose of meditation is, at a basic level, we are saying you get some harmony with your mind and proper relationship between you and your mind, and that requires your ability to calm it down. Then you have slight owner and system relationship. We don't call it master slave, but something like, if I am owner of my mind, then I should be able to, you know, ask it to calm down and it obeys my command, is it not?
Yes.
And that is what a common person is wanting to happen. Otherwise, life is so fast life. This me and my mind have become one intact unit, and whatever happens to my mind almost automatically happens to me also. So we want that separation at the first stage, that you are slightly detached from your mind. which is very important at the very basic level. And then there can be other things. Let me show you one slide, which Sankhya diagram, which I show very often. So, this is me and this is what I am observing always.
Yeah,
This is
yeah,
where the world is brought to me. The outside world via the five sensory organs.
yeah,
And
yeah.
when I am slightly disconnect from outside world, then this from my own storage device, there is a whole world inside my inner world, and that pops out. So I am always busy watching one thing or another, and it's not merely watching, I am even processing them, which becomes thinking operation. So your question about, the guidance we have, say from Kapil, who is author of Sankhya, or from Patanjali, they are trying to teach us that make it blank, as if this is my inner TV, and if I could learn to switch it off. So, but it goes through stages. So there is when I am very successful at the at this level and make it blank, then in my as a beginner's journey, I make it blank, but then something comes here. And if I begin to entertain that, it becomes thoughts. If I am slightly detached from it, then that image goes away, but second image comes in. If I am still holding on, no, I won't process it. I am not inquisitive in entertaining those things, then that also disappears, but third image comes in. So it's like a procession of images, and it's very easy for a beginner to fall into the trap and make it a thought, that an image becomes like a thought then he is not in meditation. It's just like what other things we do 24 hours a day. But now when this thing improves, that even these images, so in our particular session of Patanjali Yoga meditation, we are trying to say superimpose the sound of Om here. So we are saying, okay, so many images comes. Why don't you bring your own images? And now just make it focus that continues to remain here, rather than images coming haphazardly from here. So we say that if there is only that sound Om, nothing else here, then it is not a thought, but it is an image. It is a sound image. Image is in quotes, not visual image, but sound level. And then we say, I am thoughtless, but I am mindful, because this is filled with a particular image, the image of that sound of Om, what we call mental recitation of. So if that is uninterrupted, then it is that. Okay. Now suppose that also disappears. If you are hooked to that, no thoughts are coming, and then you slip away even from that as a mental recitation of sound, then something happens now. So this is characterized as Sampajñāt Yoga. Now it is not that you have made it blank now, but something from your storage device is not appearing, something appearing from out of the world. Now that is called as Sampajñāt Yoga or Sampajñāt Samadhi. So that is intuitive knowledge. So what we are being told is, otherwise our knowledge is about what has been perceived by these senses. So senses pick up the knowledge about what is called Panchabhut, the gross objects, So as if these are our instruments, and every instrument has a resolution. So these instruments, by their very nature, can resolve an object that is made of gross five elements. Now the philosopher is telling us, like Sankhya, Kapil is saying, how does he know about this diagram? Because this
Mm.
diagram is not in the realm of Panchabhut. So this is called as, now this is more subtle than my sensory organs. So these things are more subtle than my sensory organs. So how do I know this? How do I know this and this diagram as such? Then they said, when you have succeeded in making it blank, then knowledge pertaining to these things somehow appear as a flash here. Of course, it's due to Ishwar, but at this point we won't say who is making that appear. So now that is classified into four divisions. The knowledge that may appear may pertain to gross elements. So, they are calling it as Vitark, Vichar, Anand, Asmita. These are four levels of the Sampajñat Samadhi, intuitive knowledge. Intuitive knowledge in the sense it's not coming from my sensory organs, but yet it appears on my chitta. So Vitark is that knowledge which is related to Panchabhut, gross elements. So some insights I get it. Now Vichar is something related to these subtle elements. Then Anand is something related to Ahankar. And Asmita is I get to know my this chitta as in its raw state, which is blank. But it is not absolutely blank because it is displaying the image of my own self here. So that is called as Asmita Samadhi. So these are very fine tuning going on. So when if I succeed to that level, then I get some intuitive knowledge about this much, which is Vichar, about this itself, which is called Ananda. Why is it called Ananda? Is again because this is rich in Sattva, so this is always going to be a pleasant experience. But it is not that Ananda of Sachidananda Swarup, but still the Kapil and Patanjali guarantee you will feel good here. Then it is Asmita, when I get to know this is not really Atma Sakshatkar. This is my image is coming here, as if I am observer and I am seeing a mirror which is displaying my own image. But it is I am seeing my image falling on it. So that is called Asmita. Now Kapil will say, when this also disappears, when I say, so this is called as a bundle of four. Vitak, Vichar, Anand, Asmita. So when I say I am no more interested in Vitak, now it is bundle of three. I say I am not interested in this because I want to go further deep. So then Vichar also goes away. Then it is bundle. So there is a Vyas is commenting on it's a bundle, and bundle is becoming smaller, and so you start with a bundle of four layers, then it becomes bundle of three layers, then bundle of two layers, then it is just a bundle of one layer, Asmita. So, and the people who die here, before they attain the final objectives, they are called as Videha and Bhaupatya, Videha and Prakriti Lay. Yeah. So, those who died after Vitark and Vichar, they become Videha. And those who die after in the Ahankara, this Anand and Asmita, they are called as Prakriti Lay. Anyway, so in the next life, they have a significant advantage, So the point I was trying to make is, now when this whole bundle disappears, then Sankhya says, then you have a state called Vivek Khyati. Now you see yourself. This is Atma Sakshatkar. You know yourself and you can distinctly see the instrument of Chitta. So now you are not seeing your image on Chitta. You are in front of the mirror, but you are seeing your own self and you see the mirror also. They are two distinct entities. So this he calls as Vivek Khyati. This is for him, this is highest wisdom a human being ought to attain. Now this Vivek Khyati, even at this stage, some deposits are still there, which is called klesh, and that means I will be born again. So there is still a higher level of samadhi that is called dharma megha. Then this is burnt out, these seeds are burnt out. That is called then nibij samadhi. Then he becomes a jivan mukta, in the sense he is, liberated, but he is very much a living human being because now there are no seeds here, so he won't be born again. So, so after Vivek Khyati is Nibij Samadhi. So, these are high level of stages. So, you use the word Atma Sakshatkar, then in that context, I just have described what are the stages one has to go through. And then this, in the Dharmic Samadhi or in between, even at Vivek Khyati level, this practitioner says that when I reach there, it is a very pleasant state there. So then he says, then there is an argument. Why I feel very pleasant here? If it is that sort of pleasantness is my own true nature, then my life should always be pleasant. So then they argue it that pleasantness was because of my being with that infinite consciousness who is within me and is surrounding me. So, then it becomes Ishwar Sakshatkar, because then he says, I was with him for that time duration. And that's where I have now got to know him, that he lent me his Anand for a while. So, these are, then he says, he claims this is Ishwar Sakshatkar because I had a taste of that Anand, which couldn't be my own virtue, my own attribute. If it was mine, then I will always be in Anand. So then he argues, this was because I was in intimate relationship. I was with him, so to say. So these are very subtle states at a very high level. So, but we don't talk all these things at these are theoretical issues. But I think it's good to have this background so that if you are practicing it, you are slightly aware of what is happening. So, but at a layperson's level, we just say, like in Shvetashvata Upanishad, or like in our classes on Patanjali Yoga meditation, we just say that objective is to bring our mind calm as it appears in deep dreamless sleep, Sushupti, which every human being is aware of. So let's try to make our mind calm. And then Shvetashvata Upanishad, which is very interesting because that has a lot of elements of meditation. In its second chapter, they will say that you will see some kind of a fog, a sky, or the light like sun. So they just try to give you an idea what all will be you will be seeing, seeing in that in quotes, when you are progressing in meditation. And then in next mantra they will say that if you are going through these experiences, then something happens to you. So you see, then they will say, your body feels lighter, your body waste amounts are diminished now, you know, and your vocal cord, your speech is now slightly sweeter. They call it swasthavam. And then they say the face also has your some glow. So they now, what are the results due to this progress? So they give you some benchmarks in meditation progress, that and then if it is happening at a recurring level, then what is happening in your personality and things like that. So you can slightly correlate, okay, I'm making some progress. But it's a very subtle ball game. So we have to be. So what else can I say on this? So
Well, I just wanted to ask you, and I think I got some decent. It is good to have some hope when you are meditating, and it's good to know that what I'm expecting is natural, or it can be achieved, if not in this life, but then you progress better in another life. I know it's a long journey, as you say, it's a long journey. But if you
yeah,
have a kind of latent uh, thought, or latent, what do you say, a laksh kind of thing, so at least the mind also knows that, why the master is trying to tell him, okay, just give me half an hour, just give me 1 hour. You know, the need to constantly request the mind. You are showing me so much. You are showing me so much, and it's nice to know that this is possible. If not in 10 years, maybe 100, 200,000 years. But it is good to be on that path with the hope, with the expectation.
yeah, sure. Um, there is some guidance in the literature that is very helpful. And the good thing is, what Patanjali calls in his third chapter, Niyodh Parinam, what, that is so good. Even on the very day one, I will say, on this journey, there are consequential benefits are twofold,
Yeah.
One is wherever you are on the journey, that some benefits accrue, you know,
Hmm.
which has a meaning in your day-to-day life, you know.
Yeah.
So that is part one. Part two is very interesting. You become qualified to move on to the next step.
Correct.
That he calls as Niyot Parinam. As you are subduing your mind, which is a very deep ocean, but as you are diving deep, so at any point, wherever you are seeing the resultant benefits in your day-to-day life. So though you sit for meditation for some minutes, 20, 40, 60 minutes, whatever it is, but it has an effect on your 24 hours lifestyle. So that
Definitely.
is part one of Nirvot Parinam. Part two is you become qualified. So when you are practicing next time, you will see you have moved slightly further additional steps, So that is very interesting. Twofold benefits, what
Yeah.
he calls Nirvot. So even if somebody at the very start of the journey, like in my course, I have shared first 10 benefits. So, even those who have done so faithfully for daily practice for about a month, they will say, yes, this sort of a thing is happening to me, you know, my sleep is getting better, or the usual things I used to do in the daytime, I do it more efficiently, or I like to do them. I don't treat them as a burden. Some sort of this sort of a thing he can relate to, you know. So as you will know it, it's a long journey, uh, but as long as we are on the right track,
Yeah,
you know, it's uh, it's good, you know. Let things unfold itself.
itself.
You know? It's
Yeah,
exploration. It
yeah.
is an exploration because anybody, even a guide, he cannot really tell us much more, you know, because it has to be your experience, you know.
Yes.
You know, even if I eat a samosa for that matter, how can I describe it? I will just say it tastes good.
No, no, but
Uh,
one more
but
thing.
somebody else has to eat it to
Yeah,
feel that taste, you know.
yeah.
This is about
One
the worldly experiences. So this is a slightly more out of the world experience. So, you know,
one more thing. I mean, I thought I'll just pick up here. Like I'm able to make a distance in between myself and mine, and now my uh, you may say I'm talking to my mind. I mean, many a times during my meditation, but have these people like Kapil Muni and Patanjali have mentioned that is it that do we need to leave the mind at all, or we still like well you used to say oh and control say I'm not interested, I'm not interested. So is this the only way, or there could be a way that okay, let the thoughts come, you will go eventually, I'm not interested, but I want my mind to get disciplined on its own, provided I have those latent desires that this is the Lakshya. And I tell my mind, see, you will keep wandering in this world and you'll not get peace. So, I mean, this is also one of the thoughts that I get. Although I do talk a lot to tell my mind, no, no, stop, stop. But sometimes I think that when I tell someone new to start, I tell them if the thoughts are coming, don't bother, let them come. It will go, it will go. But what happens many a time, that you get carried away with that thought, and then 10 minutes out of your 20 minutes of meditation have gone. And
yeah.
then you realized, oh my God, I was there for meditation and I'm a part of a story.
This is the biggest challenge. Actually, it's very interesting to hear from you this. In today's my session in part three, this is the issue I was intending to bring up, you know. But our things didn't go the way I wanted. So it stressed the time. So I kind of postponed it. So that will be issue I will discuss next week now. Actually, I planned to do it today, but I couldn't do that. So this is where the challenge is. You know that I kind of empty my mind for a while, and then some thoughts are there. You know, something is there, and then I wait. If I begin to entertain them, then I become myself part of the thought. Then that kills the whole purpose of meditation, because this is thinking is what we do
Yeah.
throughout the day. So when we sit for meditation, our objective is that thought should disappear, die out, and so that is a difficult ball game, and that's why you might have noticed even in the practice part, I am saying, you start with a mental recitation of Om, but if you get carried away to thought, then I say, come back to oral recitation. So, when you do oral recitation, then at least your mind is consciously reciting it. You have to excite your vocal cord, is it not? So at least you get rid of that thought for a while.
Hmm.
So that's why You might have seen in my diagram, I make a kind of a loop from step 4. Now go to step 3 if there are mild interruptions of thoughts, and then come back to 4. So, and if there are too many thoughts, then even go to step number 2 and 3 and come back to 4. So we know we want
Mm.
to strengthen our step 4, which is concentration, dharana, and we have chosen a, so to say, an image of that sound om. So this is a very philosophical issue, because on one hand we say we are borrowing Ashtanga Yoga, and in Ashtanga Yoga Patanjali says pratyaya ektanata dhyanam, means he is giving you freedom. You choose the prototype image you
Yeah,
want.
yeah, yeah. How you want to? Yeah.
Yeah. But then, we are, as a teacher, I am not giving that discretion to my students. I am saying you superimpose the sound of om.
Home.
So, which is actually the prototype in chapter 1, Tajapas Tadat Bhavanam. So, chapter 1 is for very high level people, for Abhyas Vairagya and to achieve yoga. Now, Ashtanga Yoga is for all the human beings. So, we are using the steps of Ashtanga Yoga, but towards the end, when it comes to dhyan meditation, I am saying you don't have discretion. You don't put an image that you like it. You just put this sound.
Yeah.
So the reason I am doing it is because in chapter 3, Patanjali's Ashtanga Yoga, he moves from chapter 2 to 3 when it comes to Antarang Yoga, Dhara, Dhyan, and Samadhi. Now, slightly later, he will say, even this Antarang Yoga is Bahyang Yoga with respect to Nibid Samadhi. So, because Dhyan was discretionary here, that is why he is saying that, is it not?
Mm.
So, the clue I have taken is that we remove this discretion so that it is now that silent mental excitation of Om, and then this Antarang Yoga is really Antarang Yoga, you know. It is not Bahyang Yoga with respect to Nibid Samadhi. So this practice, though it is Ashtanga Yoga, it prepares one for the finality of the Patanjali Yoga and Kapil's, you know, Atyant Purusharth, all those things we discussed with the Sankhya diagram.
Mm.
So this is a strategy that we are using mental recitation of Om for, we are removing that discretion, and then we are making it a journey that can go to its final end.
Yeah.
Now, that's why I say it is a comprehensive package. I'm using three terms very often. It is authentic, it is comprehensive, and it is efficient.
Yeah.
So that is the background why I am, because for me, though this is, we are very new in this game, the meditation is prevailing in the world. There are many other schemes, and they are much more prevalent and well known. Compared to them, this is very less known. What I am saying, Patanjali Yoga meditation.
Yeah. But
But
this is
the reason I am interested in putting it forth is, I hope that sometimes some scientist will pick it up, because I am keen that mainstream science, pick up the concept of non-physical consciousness. So, as I said in, I think, one of the previous session, today the scientists are not evaluating properly. Scientist is a subject A, And to study what goes around in brain, he has an object, namely a meditation practitioner, you know. And when that, then they put certain electrodes and all
Yeah.
kinds of wires here. So scientist is observing what a meditation practitioner goes through. Now, because the way we have defined meditation is counterpart of deep dreamless sleep, naturally scientists will say that deep in meditation, it was same as what was in deep in his sleep, is it not? So when the same object, person, whether he is in deep sleep or in deep meditation, the results by the scientist subject will be same. You know?
Which should not be, because what we are trying is thoughtless awareness, that we are not sleeping and we are
Yeah,
aware.
even if he's in deepest meditation state, that will be like deepest sleep, is it not?
Hmm.
Mind is blank, yes. So the moral of the story is, but sleep, deep sleep and deep meditation are two different states,
Yes, they are different. They are
Yeah.
different.
And that can be known only if scientist himself does that. So, in this in this whole game of Sankhya and Patanjali philosophy, I want scientists to be convinced that they have themselves to go through these two states to know what they are. They cannot have an object, a meditation practitioner, and make measurements and come to a
Yes.
conclusion.
And that
So
too is
that's
something
why
mind.
I am taking this approach that, say, one day a couple of scientists become interested in it, then they have a meditation practice, a kind of a manual that can take them to the total end, total finality. So
Yeah.
that's why my theory and practice is very authentic and comprehensive. It
Hmm.
will enable any scientist to go through that state, and then he will conclude one day that deep meditation is not same as deep sleep.
No, no, they are not.
And that he will. So that's where your first question started with, who am I?
Yeah.
Then he will realize, at the end of meditation, when mind is quiet, absent more or less, or what I call mindlessness, then what is left over is me. So that is me, myself, my self-awareness or self-realization. And that is what I would like mainstream scientists to become aware of. Otherwise, when I see a lot of course, I am not fully in this jargon of science of consciousness, but whatever I am reading it, consciousness is not being viewed in a proper manner, you know. So that has to, I think there's a need to become familiar with what is consciousness in the eyes of Patanjali and Kapil, etc. Yeah.
On this topic, I mean, that a scientist should take it. I mean, uh, I have read a book written by, Pawan Verma, that an IS officer basically from
Is the
Bihar.
author's name?
Yeah. And book's name is Adi Shankaracharya. And that book, he has few pages. Actually, if you look at your WhatsApp, I read it some time back, but only thought was you. And I took some photos of, and clicked a couple of pages which have described some research by some scientists. But it is again what you said, they have kept somebody as an object, which is not correct what you are trying to achieve. But what I'm thinking is that if I'll again see, if you check your WhatsApp, you'll find those scientists. If they are in US, maybe it could be a great connection for you. And if you say, I will send it to you again, I mean, I'll just go through the book in a couple of days and find out those pages where they talk about, and they do find that when a person goes in deep meditation, the trend changes inside the mind. So there is something going on. So if you say, I mean, the book's name is Adi Shankaracharya, and is a beautiful book written by Pawan Verma.
Pawan Verma is the author.
Yes, he he is in politics as well. Janata Dal United, he was just, removed from the party. He speaks his mind, and he is an IS officer. He has a command over Urdu as well. He has written a book on Ghalib, which I couldn't get. I'm very fond of Urdu poetry, but when I heard that he has written on Adi Shankaracharya, so I became very interested. And then he has covered meditation in 7-8 pages with the relevance to Shankaracharya and other things. And there he mentions that currently few studies are going on or have taken places. So I'll first.
Yeah, sure, there will be these issues getting attention of. It's a very interdisciplinary area, and a number of scientists, from neuroscientists to physicists, and also philosophers, and a number of, it's a very interdisciplinary area. I'm not that connected to it, but I'm seeing it once in a while. There is they are facing this challenge, what consciousness is. And now there is from application point of view, what they are calling AI, artificial intelligence. They are looking at it from application point of view. So they are even using the terms like machine consciousness. So some certain terms, they are not very good to me. Like, how can a machine be conscious? But it's like say I am lifting something by my hand because I am conscious. My hands are conscious. Now, if a machine lifts the same thing, would you say that that is a conscious machine? So, these are very crude question, but issue is very difficult, and I think a lot of scientists are wondering what actually the reality is. And it's very complex subject, even from
maybe
Vedic perspective. I think we should hear from Inigo.
I was just going to add that maybe consciousness is something we're not supposed to find or learn about or test. It's almost like we simply have to accept. And maybe it's even trying to understand what consciousness is kind of not the issue. The real issue is how can we be peaceful, happy people? So trying to dig deep into what makes us and what are we is kind of, does it matter? You simply accept we are what we are, and the real challenge is our actions and our thoughts and what we say, and how do we act with other people? How can we kind of work together more? How can we be more peaceful with each other? And those are the real challenges, and the actions are the real issues, rather than necessarily trying to really understand how the brain works, how the mind works. Is there consciousness? Is there not consciousness? It's like, I think when you said one time in Vedic philosophy, we're not supposed to know Ishwar. We're not supposed to know everything about Ishwar. We can spend some time with him, but we're not supposed to fully know or understand him.
Actually, we cannot. Our Vedas say, honestly, the crux is we cannot, and the Ishwar declares. So this is what Guruji says. Let's not try to know what is, because what you were saying last time. You go to gym, you pick up 10 kg. When you get adept in 10 kgs, only then you think of, oh, I can pick up 20 kgs as well. So that desire to understand consciousness is like what you said, a self-defeating thing. So once your mind achieves that, quietness, you will be forced to go closer to what all we discussed. It's a very natural way. So whether you like it or not like it, and why when he says Ishwar, then it becomes very illusionary world and many other people talking about the God, not understanding the real Vedic thing of God, which is, where is a physical thing or we can see him or not. That's a very vast subject. So it is better for us to remain and, close to her, and one step we gradually we grow step by step.
Mhm.
Otherwise, Ishwar, no one can deny his presence, but it's very complicated. So
I think
that is
that's
why,
it. As you've just said, when you practice the meditation, but also when you change what you do in your life, meditation, if I understand correctly, should go hand in hand with renunciation. So how you act in your life and the changes you make there go hand in hand with practicing meditation. So absolutely. So we don't necessarily need to fully understand everything about why we do something. As if the outcome is something that is good, then that's probably what's more important.
yeah. But what Guruji explained today, and that was my question, that knowing self-realization is ultimately knowing consciousness, and it will come automatically on its own, and the process is same. Keep lifting the weights. Ultimately, we reach that. This is what he explained today. So, we need not to deliberate on it. We will reach eventually there. It may take various lives, or I don't know how many hundreds and thousands of years. But if the mind is on that path, eventually one will find. We
Yeah,
need not
theory and
searching
practice
it.
are, they have to go hand in hand, like it is described as two wings of a bird. One wing is not enough. So on the one hand, we want to practice meditation. Probably that brings us to the bottom line is happiness, and we are seeking a better state of mind. And also, that same thing is more likely to happen if I have some theoretical background of that. So theory and practice have to go hand in hand. For the final objective is definitely to feel good, and that's what Kapil is saying. Dukh atyant nivritti. We want to be away from pain and suffering. That is the, yeah. So I think there is no dispute on that. But of course, there are always, it needs to be balanced. Otherwise, sometimes we get too much into the unknowable things that are
Yes.
difficult to know. But
Yeah.
we try to make very difficult conjectures. But I think the journey has to be, twofold. So some theoretical background is necessary to make progress in this. But this is the science of Patanjali's yoga, or whatever you call it, science of mind and consciousness, is twofold as any other science, both theory and practice. That's what we are saying. If finest scientists also took some interest in meditation, I think that will be very good.
Yeah. I'll send you those.
Otherwise, they have a lot of theoretical ideas,
Yeah.
but what they are thinking in terms of mind and consciousness, is it practical part of or experimental part of that science is meditation. Meditation is, ability to bring your mind calm, and that is where is the hidden thing that I feel good. So that gives you a lot of confidence level. And I think we have in earlier weeks discussed that our dependency on material objects and what is this material market economy that is prevailing in today's world. So a balanced thing can come out only in a balanced manner, and our approach should also be balanced. Adequate theoretical knowledge to push us in experimental side. And so no, experimental validation of theoretical ideas is very important.
Yeah.
So what we said, Atma Sakshatkar, it's nothing but is experimental validation of a particular idea about my consciousness, who I am. So, and incidentally, that makes my quality of life better. That's what
Yeah.
Patanjali Kapila are trying to tell us. And we are also trying to suggest to everybody that wherever you are in this journey of meditation, the quality of life in your own, if you are the arbiter, you will say, yes, my quality of life is better than it was when I started with meditation practice. So, let people judge their own progress. And I think finally, as Inigo said, yes, the final criteria will be, is your quality of life better or not?